It's that time, another GM Facepalm episode. Today, we're bringing you those frustrations, we're bringing you those options to your RPG table as we discuss Thornkeep, the module from Pathfinder Online. Today, this is a review for that. I have run Thornkeep. I got through about almost half the book with my group, and I was able to have prequels leading up to this book. Namely those as We Be Goblins, We Be Goblins 2, and this is an interesting module. One I think is meant more for storyteller aspects, the storyteller GM, players who revel in the story, that love the engaging dialogue, the interactions between players and foes alike. Thornkeep has a lot of that here. Those looking for sort of a straight rail will find some disappointment here, as Thornkeep is kind of broken up into different adventures, even though they do kind of leapfrog off of one to another. There is kind of an abrupt start and end to it, and most of it is just sort of, you get to the next level, you get to the further level, the next level, and the next level, similar to what you would see on a Zelda game with the dungeon levels, when you get to like S1, S2, S3, whatever it is. So, a large part of, or I should say almost all of it, happens strictly within Thornkeep. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great lore on it. I think Thornkeep could be ran very well for GMs who are particularly trying to use the Kingmaker aspects, the kingdom building rules. A lot of times you got the GMs, the players that want to do something Kingmaker, they even want to do Kingmaker, but there's so many people that have already tried it, players who have kind of read up on it, GMs who have read up on it. A lot of people are very well knowledgeable to what Kingmaker is, and a lot of people have run it multiple times, trying to find other groups to run it. So there's a lot of spoilers already revealed to those groups as they try to find another Kingmaker game. And to try and avoid knowing most of that content, to go into something fresh, something new, I think Thornkeep would be a very good utility for that, for using kingdom building rules, for those that want more of the storyteller aspect, something that would have a lot of growth, a lot of wealth to it, as the characters are immersed and further impacted upon Thornkeep, while at the same time having a solid root, a solid place to stay, one that they can see grow and prosper in the same fashion as those kingdom building rules. So I do suggest Thornkeep. You could even use a lot of the Kingmaker scenarios, a lot of the random encounters, or even the random monsters, even taking some of the things like the grids. You can use a lot of that here as well. You can basically make your own version using a lot of the lore and content already within Thornkeep. Thornkeep is really good for that. When I went through Thornkeep, it felt a lot like almost a tabletop MMO. I don't mean to scare anyone off by saying something like that. Such a very broad definition. But you get a lot of these people in town based on the lore, and it seems as though they have exclamation points above their heads, the quest givers. There's a lot of content in there to really give the GM the ability to create encounters and create scenarios based off of the particular plights of some of the residents of Thornkeep. And they even give you a few suggestions on what they could run into, so that you can easily pull up the bestiary books and pull that creature out and perhaps your own map and add to the content. So I don't think Thornkeep should be run as it is written, I think you should add a lot to it. Indulge your own content into this. Have a great fusion of homebrew. Thornkeep is very similar to Kingmaker as far as the lands, the sodden lands. This is near the Echo Woods. This is kind of its own little place, so you can really build up or change whatever you want without really changing any of the actual Galarian lore here. And there's some Aslanti ruins. But what's really, really interesting about this, I talked about this in a past video about how to extend Weeby Goblins 2, and I mentioned Thornkeep, namely because there is a goblin community within Thornkeep, very near the residents of Thornkeep, and they are residents themselves. There is quite an interesting take on that, one that makes a lot of sense. Goblins who've kind of awakened to how they can prosper in civilization, and where they can have a thriving community of their own without any kind of persecution or threat, and realizing their own innate ability or talents actually add to the economics of the town. So I thought that was done quite well. So you can actually use Weeby Goblins 2, even pulling out those old characters and plugging them right into here. A bit of a warning, though, on using goblins, continuing goblin campaigns. I found within my own group that the players will eventually get tired of the goblins. They're tired of the crazy, chaotic nature to them, maybe even speaking like them, and they really just want to get back to their super uber sort of implanted thoughts of how, you know, they want to get back to their human whatever, you know, so they can talk normal, act normal, maybe get away from the crazy, chaotic nature of them. So yeah, trying to have the longevity of a goblin campaign may prove challenging if you happen to have very, very serious players who cannot kind of relax, kick back, and just have a little bit of crazy fun there. So one note to that anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of great content. The map is huge of Thornkeep, and every little house in here just about has a lot of information on the residents and their motives and possible backstories. There's a lot of banditry. I think this setting is good for either good characters, neutral, or evil characters. I think you can find a home for either of those where they can thrive. There's some great Echowood encounters. So you can merge Thornkeep with Weeby Goblins 2. You can merge this with Kingmaker, and I would also say you could merge this with the super dungeon known as the Emerald Spire. Keep in mind, though, the Emerald Spire, that is meant for fast track experience, where I think this one is built more for medium track experience, so you know there will be some adjustments that will need to be made, but you can definitely blend a lot of different content in here while creating your own content to increase the longevity of the campaign and give it that feel of an adventure path. Even having your characters go possibly to 14th or 16th level. So looking for that forestry sort of theme, those Kingmaker aspects, you can get a lot out of this. There's quite a lot of dungeons here. So as long as you don't have any aversion to that, I'm quite fond of dungeons. I think they're fun. There's a great story that can be told with those. Lore and information to be found. Particularly within the first book here, I should say the first dungeon here. If you're familiar with Mergmo, if the party defeats this person, I had her come back as a burning skeleton. From the Tome of Horrors, the Burning Skeleton bestiary version, I had Mergmo come back as Burning Mergmo. As sort of like a little bit of a reoccurring villain here. The one thing I think that kind of got a stab to the back in this module or campaign of sorts. There's some TPK sort of elements here, particularly with the very first dungeon. There is a shadow, and if your characters are not properly equipped to deal with the shadow, such as having a magical weapon, then they could find a very similar and all too familiar defeat. So I would try to stay away from that TPK by trying to maybe drop a loot item such as another magic weapon. There is one drop in here, but it's kind of vague, and they may not go that route to get it. Or you may have players who kind of freak out at the last minute, like mine did when they encountered this shadow. Instead of using some of the spells and using the one magic weapon that they did get, they decided to forget that they had the magic weapon and decided to branch off, to split up, and even though they knew where the exit was, they decided to forget about it and end up getting lost, and everyone had to go in different directions, go on different paths that they've never even been into, while this shadow chased them throughout and eventually killed off one after the other. I think actually the one survived by escaping by going through the exit after too many damn rounds. And the shadow is definitely a total party killer here, so definitely monitor the magical loot drops here, just to ensure that, or just remove the shadow entirely to avoid that. That's the only real sort of stab to the back here in this module. I know a lot of people on the forums complained about the lethality, how lethal this module is. Going on to the Forgotten Laboratory, I'll just make one mention here that right away, as soon as you get in there, the Grey Ooze can similarly defeat your party, vanquish them quite quickly. Especially since it is an unexpected attack, an unexpected encounter, one where the players can all of a sudden forget how to play the game, and my group almost met a very fast demise. So, dog, shut up. Shush! So, will you be quiet? You're messing up my video. Alright. There's a lot of goblins in here, so I would suggest a goblin group would be cool because there's a lot of interaction, a lot of dialogue, a lot of crazy chaotic nature to them as far as the reactions. So I think this does have some goblin themes to it, which would be great for a goblin group, but of course just be aware of your players being tired of the goblin aspect of it. I didn't get much further. I didn't get into the Enigma Vaults, or the last one I think is the Menagerie one, or the Sanctum of a Lost Age. But there's a lot of dungeon delving in here. But you can easily break that up by having quests outside of the dungeon, through town, on the outskirts, and even using a lot of the lore and content within the Emerald Spire, such as the outpost, or the Fort Inevitable with the Hell Knights. You get more of the surrounding land since it's very close to Thornkeep. You can get more content, and should they decide to go into the Emerald Spire, you have more stuff to run there. But keep in mind, you can still use Kingmaker stuff there. So yeah, the longevity of this one can go quite far. But yeah, we just played this as a sort of temporary game until we could get the next adventure path going, due to player drop and having to find new players to join the group. So anyway, I enjoyed this. You know, besides from the few total party killer elements of this, it's quite well done. And that's all I got. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, criticisms. Until next time, see ya.